All right, welcome back. We are COMP1115, Game Programming 1 in the Fall 2025 semester at Georgian, and it's Week 8, Part 2 of our broadcast and recording. Where we last left off, we tried to monkey around with our form and break it, right? And we did it on purpose because you're going to see this broken form stuff a lot. And it's going to be by accident. You're going to do it and you're going to be like, wait, what? Let's add a couple new things to the form. Let's do some more experimentation, okay? I want to add in a label, and the way we add controls this time, watch me here guys, is drag and drop. So you drag and drop the control onto the form, and now you have a label. You drag and drop the the button on the form, and now you have a button. And you should see something like this. Drag and drop. Notice my document outline on the left. You're going to see that I have a button and a label, right? And what I can do with these objects is I want to rename them, all right? One thing to note is that if I go back to the Properties menu, while I'm clicked on the button on the left, notice if I click on the button on the left or the label, then the Properties menu changes depending on what I'm clicking, okay? So that's something to note. So here, if I click on the button, then at the top, if I go all the way to the top, the name of the button is button 1. Button 1 is a terrible name, right? Because it's not descriptive, right? I want to make this the click me button, okay? So for now, all we're going to do is name it what I'm saying, but we're going to come up with a different naming convention afterwards, and I'll explain it, okay, later. Let's call this click me button, okay? No spaces. It's an actual variable name. All right, click me button. Notice that on the left, my form designer now says, my document outline now says, click me button. Okay, that's important. Let's do the form for the label. Let's change the label, click on that, and let's change this label name to, we'll call this greetings label. Okay, just as an example, greetings label. There we go. So we got a greetings label and button 1. Okay. I want to change what the text is on the button. Let's change the text on the button. So again, the text on the button, if I scroll down, you can see text is here. I can change this. We'll call this click me. Click me. Spaces too is okay because it's text. Right? Click me. I can make this button bigger like this, right? I can kind of resize the button. There's control handles. Whenever you see control handles on anything, you can change the size of the button any size you want for using the control handles, right? And I can also, if I hover my mouse over the button, I can move the control anywhere I want on the form. Okay, that's something you can do. So let's make the button a little bit bigger, right? And I want to change the font of the button. Instead of it being this small font, let's go to the right. Again, as you have the button selected, the properties menu is pointing to the button. These are all the properties of the button. There's lots of properties here. If you scroll up, there is a font category, and under the font category, there is a font family. The name of the font is right here, right? And right now it's Segoe UI, right? I don't want that. I want to choose Calibri, all right? So let's move that. I want to choose something like Calibri. Here it is. So there's my Calibri font now. I just chose that. And let's change the size of the font to something like 12. So we can make the button bigger. The text value of the button, the text object inside the button, the property is bigger now. Okay? No. If you don't like Calibri, pick something else. Okay, notice that the button now is bigger than it was, or it appears to be bigger than it was before. Okay? Okay, let's run this thing and see what we get when we run it. We get this. We get a form. We get a form that has click me, right? It's a button, but the button doesn't do anything right now. It's just a click me button, right? Let's go to the label. Let's go to the label over here where it says the greetings label. Let's click on the greetings label, and let's wipe out the text altogether. So the text, we're not going to have any text in the label. We can just wipe it out. So where it says text, just delete it all. And now you're going to see that the label is going to look like this. Yes? Oh, I don't know why, but that's a problem.
I got the same thing. story of me. How does that go?
All right.
Star photo does not contain definition of the label 1_.
Yeah, because the text that fills it, the name is what it's called, and the name is more significant.
We're not double clicking on this thing. We're not double clicking here. We're running it and double clicking. If you double click, something else happens.
I run I7 and then I get there were build errors and then
Okay.
it tells me that that's the build error does not contain definition for label 1_. Yeah, go ahead.
I got that.
All right.
You
You got that too?
Yeah, but I deleted it and then repasted it and it seemed to work fine. I don't know.
Wonderful.
I
Yes.
don't know what happened.
Okay, so I need this, so I need this error fixed because for whatever reason, after I added the button, an error showed
It's
up.
this one.
Can I get you someone to help him out?
It's
Thank you.
because I renamed this clicking button and it says label.
All right. So this is good. We've got a button and a label. Now notice the label is invisible because I've taken away the text value, but you can always move it around. Here it is. I moved it around. I can move the label around here, right? Because in the document outline, even though I can't see the label here, I can see it by clicking in on the document outline, okay? And because there's no value to the label has nothing, okay? So now what I want to do is I want to talk about what I've just done. So going back to this, it's moving on to where we were. I've added in the label, I've added in the button, you know, as an example. I've renamed them, right? Click me button. And I've also renamed the label, or the label's properties are gone. I got all this in the PowerPoint slide deck for you, okay, if you have a problem. This is just practice. We're going to get rid of it later, okay? I pulled up the document outline so you can see it here. And what I want to do now is, which is very, very important, what I want to do here is I want to change the form itself so that it actually has some behavior. And what we're going to do here is do something called event handling. Event handling, okay? So what are events? If I click on a button, if I hover over a label, if I move my mouse, I'm generating events. It doesn't matter if you're doing it in Windows or Unity or even in Unreal Engine, okay? You're generating events. Now, just because we're generating events in Windows doesn't mean we're listening for them, right? We can create a listener, right, for that event if we want to. And it's kind of what we're going to be doing now here with Windows Forms, okay? So think about an event as I want to interact with a control that's on my form. I want to interact with it somehow. I want to click onto it or do something with it, right? That interaction, that's what's known as an event. I'm generating that event. I'm interacting with something. We're going to respond to that event. When I'm interacting with a button, when I click on a button, I want the button to do something. I want some kind of behavior to come out of that button, right? That's when we make an event handler. The event handler is a method. That's what it is. Okay, that's why we talked about methods earlier today, right? So here are the very common events: clicking a button, typing in a text box, selecting an item from a menu, closing a window, or moving the mouse. These are all types of events that we can use. Let's do this. Ready? To make an event handler for the button, you can double click it inside of the form. So if you double click the button, it brings you to this form right here, right? So now we're talking about two different files, okay? There's the file that is the designer. It says design up here. And there's the file that is the code behind file. This is the code behind file. The designer and the code behind file. They're working together, where the code behind file refers to the form. Now here's something that I don't have. Notice that I don't have the form. It was never generated. Like, even though I double clicked on the button, what it's supposed to do is generate that event handler. It did not. It did not. It didn't do what it's supposed to do, actually, right? So there's another way to do this. The click me button has this little lightning bolt, right? And notice it says click me button click is where it's supposed to go, and it doesn't show it. That's bad. That's bugged, actually. But we can make the click me button come out by itself. So let's just code it by hand. If you have just this and no click me button, let's do it. So it's going to be called click me button clicked. If I'm not wrong. There's going to be an object which is a sender and something that looks like this. Let's make sure that I can see everything here. I'll make this a little bit smaller. And why is it giving me an error?
Outside the class?
Yes, it's outside the class. Let's put this inside the class. It should be inside here. There we go. I'll explain everything in a second. So it's this. Click me button click. It's here. Now this should actually automatically generate it for you, but we've monkeyed around with the forms. Okay, we've monkeyed around. That's why it didn't generate that for us. Okay? And let me explain why. Because our form designer, startFormDesigner.cs, this one right here, right? Remember, it does the code on the back end, and this is where it does all those things. Okay, so this is where it is right here. Okay. So notice that this is all the stuff. So here's your greetings label. Take a look here. Here's your greetings label, and here's your button. In the start form, I don't want you to monkey with this. I just want to show you the designer so you can see what's happening in the background. In the background, it's actually doing all this for you. Okay? Yes?
Sorry, where can I find this specific line of code?
Here. Right? But we don't need to monkey. We're not going to touch this. This is just here for us. It gets generated for us. Okay? So now inside of the click me button clicked event, right, as an example, if I was to run this code, it doesn't do anything still, right? In fact, it'll give me an error, right? It says start form does not contain a definition of click me button click and no accessible extension method for blah, blah, blah. So let me explain why this is happening. This is happening because start form, which is the designer, we bugged around with it, okay? We've bugged around with start form. So that's why it says that error, that doesn't exist or whatever, right? But actually it does exist. So your program.cs, it starts on your start form, yep? And then inside the start form designer, this is the class start form. Notice that start form, it says class start form here. And then in the start form .cs, this one here, the code, it's a partial class start form, right? That's what it is. And then, I'm just showing you that. And then it shows you that in the, see how it's bugged? Yeah, it's okay. So in the start form designer, this designer right here, I'm just going to kind of hide these for a second because we don't need any of that. In the start form designer, if you notice that the initialized component is here and it goes through and it makes a button, it makes a label. This is inside the initialized component. And also notice there's also another initialized component right here that gets called. So in the start form's constructor function, it calls the initialized component. Initialized component is all this, right? It's hidden, but you can do it. And it basically creates all this stuff, right? And then it says, this click me button click, right? That's what it's doing here. So let's wipe this out. And if I do this dot, and if I look at this, you can see that it comes up, right? And you can make it fixed like this. All I've done is fixed it now.
You just put click ED instead?
Yeah, that's why I made it clicked instead of click.
The words didn't match.
I know, that's the problem. Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I double clicked my designer thing. I don't have it.
You don't have this? Well, it's probably because it's hidden, like this. Right? So make sure it's not hidden.
You could do it the
So I made a mistake. I called it a different name, right? Because if I look at my start form, it says clicked, but it's supposed to be click, right? So if I want to rename this, I can do that. I can rename this whole thing, again, because it's just a function or method. I can right-click and just pick, choose rename, and I can choose click, right? And if I do that, it still works. If I press play, now it's going to work okay. Okay? Yes?
I don't have that. When you went to start form designer, all that lines of code.
This stuff?
Yeah, not there.
Yeah, because it's hidden. That's okay.
3 days if she comes out.
All right, so now that we're here, I've done a couple of monkeying tricks here. And I say that monkeying tricks, okay? I'm doing this because you're going to have these problems. You're going to have these problems, and I want to deal with these problems up front. So you've seen them. Because if you've seen the problem, you know that there's a solution for the problem, right? In programming, here's one thing we can say. You don't know what you don't know, right? So when I start showing you stuff, once you see it can be done, you know that there's something that you can do to fix it, right? Okay, let's go back. We don't need to use that form. We have this click me button click event, all right? That's what it is. This event handler has two parts to it, okay? This is a method, remember? We talked about methods earlier. The first part is void, it returns nothing. The second part is the name of the method, click me button click. Then it has a parameter list, like we talked earlier today. There are two parameters in the list. One is the sender, and the other one is E, okay? Object sender is used to tell the event handler which button or control is interacting with this event. In this case, the sender is the button. That's what the button is. Event args is just E. Event args is a class that basically has all the event arguments. It has information, other information, like what event triggered this thing. Was it a click event? Was it a mouse move event? What did I do to trigger this thing for it to fire, right? To trigger, as an example. Okay, let's do this now. I want to access my label, and my label is called greetings label. Let's try this. So greetings label, here it is, dot text. I want to say that the greetings label dot text is equal to clicked, like this. Greetings label dot text is clicked. Are you with me? So remember, this is just a method, right? Here's what's happening. I'm not calling this method with code. I'm calling this method when I click the button. When I click the button, that method is called, just like I just showed you earlier, right? So let's try this out now. If I press play, right? And if I click me, then all of a sudden it says clicked.
So you can change whatever you want the prompt to be when it gets clicked.
Yeah. Are you with me?
Oh yeah.
But this is really limiting, right? I mean, the button only does one thing.
Wow, okay, great.
The button only does one thing. Look, if I keep clicking it, it doesn't change. It doesn't do anything else. That's a really dumb button, right?
Multiple things.
So what about if we made it toggle? I want to make this button say other things. So when I click it, if it's already clicked, it's going to say clicked again or something else like that, right? And by the way, the code for this is right here. Okay, I've kind of talked about it inside of the PowerPoint. Okay, so it's right here. So here's it where I want to do it. I want to kind of do an if statement. Okay, here we go. Ready? I want to say if, and we can look at the greetings button, greetings label dot text. We say if it's already equal to clicked, right? Then we know that it's already been clicked. We want to say that greetings label dot text is equal to clicked again. Okay? Otherwise, else, I want to just say greetings label dot text is equal to clicked. What is this funny greetings label dot text? Why am I using dot? What does the dot do? Greetings label is the object and text is the property. Greetings label refers to the label and text is the property. That means if I want to access a property of a control, because greetings label is a control, then I just have to use the dot operator, and after that, a bunch of properties come up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Like this, watch. If I say greetings label dot, look at all the properties that come up. Text, visible, enabled, validated, anchor, back color, right? And a bunch of other stuff. All of these things come up after I press the dot. If I scroll down, you can see that there's a bunch of stuff. These are all properties of the greetings label. We have access to it through the dot operator, okay? That's what we have. These are all properties. Okay. Let's try this out. Let's try this out. Let's try this out. So if I click me, it says clicked. If I click it again, it says another clicked again. If I click it again, it says clicked. And I can go back and forth now like this. It's not very exciting. Here's a problem. What if I picked the wrong thing? What if I type something wrong here, like it's not clicked? I omitted the exclamation mark, right? Then it's going to still have that problem. Look, it's still only going to click once, right? Because it's very specific. It's very specific, right? I can also say that, well, if greetings label is not empty, right? So I can say it's not equal to, I don't know, empty. It's not equal, it's not empty. What if I tried this instead? Yes. Is that a hand? Okay. Well, now we have another problem, right?
Wait, what's exclamation point equal again?
Not equal. Right? So if I did this, it'll do clicked again if it's not empty. But then, you know, if it's not empty, so if not equal to this, right? Well, then else it's going to say clicked, and it's going to keep saying clicked or clicked again forever, right? It won't change. So this is not great either. So again, this is a little simple toggle. That's what this is. And by the way, is there a better way to write this? Is there a better way to write this? I'm using like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines of code. Yes. I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question. If you have another problem, you have to wait. Okay, wait.
This can't wait. I need to catch up.
You can wait. Don't worry. I'm not doing anything that's urgent for your in-class exercise. It's just a demo. So just bear with me. I'm showing you stuff. All I'm doing is showing you. You can just watch if you want. Okay? So let's take a look here. All right? So this is really bad, right? I've got like 8 lines of code. How can I write this better? I can do it in 1 line of code, right? I can use something called the ternary operator, right? We talked about this before, where I can say something like, if it's the text is equal to, and we can check to see if my greetings label dot text, right, is equal to clicked, right? And if that's true, then basically say clicked again, else clicked. So 1 line of code, and it does all this. I'm going to make it smaller so you can see it. It's just 1 line of code here, and it wipes out all of this. There we go. I have to show you this, guys, because even though it looks cryptic when you look at it, you're going to see this. This is the ternary operator. Okay, so let's just show you this again. Ternary operator, right? The ternary operator is the question mark and the colon, right? So how this works, how does this work? It does this. It says, okay, take a look at the condition. Here's the condition. If it's true, you know, take the value after the question mark, which is this value, and assign that to greetings label.text. However, if it's false, if this equates to false, take the value after the colon, which is clicked, and put that into the text as well. This is great when you have an if-else, okay? It has to be exactly if-else. It can't be if-else, if-else, if. It has to only be 2 things, either true or false. If it's true or false, you can do something like this in 1 line, okay? By the way, the compiler, the code, likes this way more than if, else, and a bunch of other. Look, this is 1 line of code compared to 9 lines of code, okay? It's way more efficient. Let's try and run it and see what happens. So I can do this, right? I can say clicked. Oh man, it only just clicked. So what did I do here? It says clicked. Well, I didn't put in clicked exclamation mark, right? That's important. Let's try this again. Ready? So clicked, and now you can see it does this whole thing again. Clicked again, over and over again. Okay, who's confused about the ternary operator and what it does? Yes? Sorry? So again, the statement goes like this. First we have a condition, and then you have the question mark. And basically what it says is, if this condition is true, you take the value after the question mark, which is this value, and you assign it to the text property. However, if this condition is false, you take the value after the colon, which is this value, and assign it to the text property. All right, that's what it does. This text property over here. It's basically an if without using if and else. That's what it is. Okay. Can someone else help out my friend Damien there because he's stuck? Okay. Clear? So it's really simple and it's really dumb. Okay, and I'll tell you why it's dumb. It doesn't do much. But here's an example for the first time. I'm showing you what an event handler can do. It can do whatever you want it to do. Here's something else we can do. We can use something called debug.writeLine. Let's do debug.writeLine. Okay, debug.writeLine. Debug.writeLine. We can say something like, clicked. We can do that. Like this. We saw console.writeLine before, right? Remember console.writeLine? We did a lot of those in the first half of semester. Now we can do debug.writeLine. Debug.writeLine actually writes to the output window. Let me show you where that goes. So if I press play here, right, then on the bottom you have a bunch of windows. One of the windows that you're not seeing here is the debug or the outline, the output window, right? So again, if I go to view, right? Actually, I think I might have to go to debug. Debug windows, and I think there's an output window. Here it is, the output window. Here's the output window right here. Okay, so this output window is where the debug is going to send its write line. Okay, again, I got that by going to debug, windows, output. And I only did that while I'm running the code. Okay, I did that.
So the code has to be running when you do that.
Yes. Now if I go and click me, right? Then I see clicked at the bottom of the output window. See that? Click. Click. We're not doing that, bud. We're going to move on. We're moving on now. We're moving on.
Running. I don't see the running out.
It's Windows.
Oh, Windows and.
Does that make sense? Click, and we get all these things here, right? Let's try this again. Ready? Debug.writeLine. Debug.writeLine. Right? If I press play, you've got to have the output window here. If it's not here, you can get it by going to debug Windows output. Okay? Debug Windows output.
You have to do that every time you
No.
run?
I'm just showing you if you never had that, you can get that special window. And then what you do is when you're running your code, if I press click me, it's going to show you in the output window clicked. You can see every time you click on it, it'll click, it'll show an output. Why is this important? If I want to test to see something that is being clicked or interacted with, I can do a debug, right? I can output to the output window to test to see if things are working, if it's receiving my interaction, all right? Sometimes we're like, wait, I'm not getting a calculation. Why not? And the reason why I'm not getting a calculation is because you haven't done something right. You can test to see what that calculation is or that computation. Is he fixed?
No, but he's not going to be fixed until he gets this code in that function.
Okay. Then he doesn't have that function?
No, there's nothing in there. So it's,
Why doesn't he just type it?
that's what I'm told him to do.
You got to type this in. Type this in. Damien, type this in.
Hang on, just getting the code in.
No problem. You do it. So the ternary, I want to talk about the ternary operator. The ternary operator, right, when we think about what that is, it's a funny looking thing, okay? Don't be afraid of it. It's just another type of way of coding an if else, okay? It's not that difficult to use. But you're going to see it sometimes, and I don't want you to go like, hey, I don't know what that is. That's weird. I've never seen that code before. Now you have, okay? Debug.writeLine is important. The other thing we can do, which I'll talk about later on, is I want to comment my code. for me to comment my code, there's a really great way to comment my method. I want you to use triple forward slash like this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Triple forward slash. Try that. Triple forward slash. Right? Triple forward slash. Are you with me? What this does is it creates a little comment for your code. You can say something like, this method triggers when the click me button is clicked. Okay? So this is commenting. We haven't really commented your code up till now. I never said something like add comments to your method because we never really had methods. We had local functions. This is a method. And we can comment all of our methods this way. Why doing this? Why are we doing it this way? Because if I hover over my method now, take a look. It actually tells me that information. It gives me information right here. The same information I've typed in here, it gives me that, right? There's more stuff that we can put in here, and I'll show you that a little bit later in our PowerPoint slides, okay? But this is an example of a method with a parameter list, a return type, and stuff that it does, okay?
What's the name equals sender stuff in there?
This basically talks about the parameter. So parameter name is of type sender. Parameter name is called E.
So when you do
Right.
this pop-up, it'll do that, and that'll change depending on what's below it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, that's what this does, right? So now there's other things you can do here, and inside the PowerPoint slide deck, further down, I have more information about that. So again, what we've done right now is every single time you click, if I click, it changes from click to clicked again, all right? It keeps doing that over and over again. It's boring. That's not good. Let's do something more interesting than this, okay? What was that? It's interesting. There's two parts of an event handler that I wanted to talk about. Again, there's part one. There's two parameters. The first one, like I said, is the sender that basically tells you the object you're interacting with. The second part, the event args, it tells you what happened. What did you do? Did you click on it? Did you hover over it? What kind of event was it? All right, that you used. So that's the kind of stuff that we want to do, right? I also talked about different events. One thing is, back to the start form, the button has a bunch of different kinds of events. Take a look over here. If you look at the lightning bolt here, there's the lightning bolt in the properties menu. It tells you all the different kinds of events that you can do with the button, like a key down or a key press or whatever, or a mouse up. There's different kinds of events, right? And all of these different kinds of events are available for this type of control, okay? That's what these events are. Yes?
So it's just different ways of interacting with that button?
Yes, like for example, if I hover over, let's do a mouse hover, right? So if I do a mouse hover event, take a look at this. If I do mouse hover, and if I double click on this event, it should create, didn't do it, it didn't do it, but it should create a mouse hover event. So see where it says mouse hover? Let's make this event. Click me button, mouse hover. Let's do that, okay?
Double click.
So if I go back to this, let's make a new event. Should have done it for me, but that's okay. Private void, click me button. Follow me, guys.
Yeah.
Mouse hover, object is sender, event args, right? And when I hover over the button, I want to say something like, I want to say that the greetings label dot text is equal to hovered. Yeah. Okay, something like that. How about that? Oh. Okay, how about this? So I had to create this, but it should automatically do it for you. When you double click on the event, it should just generate that event, okay? If it doesn't, that's okay. If I go to my form designer again, start form designer, you can see that what it's doing is it added in a second event called mouse hover, all right? That's what it did, right? So there's the mouse, click me button, mouse hover. That's what it did, okay? Okay, that's in the form designer. I'm just showing you what this is doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay? So now that I've done that, if I go back to Visual Studio and run it, let's go back and run it. And if I press play, if I hover over the button, it should say hovered. Right? Notice that? If I hover over the button. If I click onto it, it'll say clicked. If I clicked onto it again, oh, it'll say clicked again. But if I hover back over, it'll say hovered again. Right? Hover away, hover back, hovered. Right? Right? Clicked. And we can do a little bit of a test here. Let's stop this and use a debug write line. Debug.writeLine. And we'll say hovered. Okay? Here's something else. We can do the event in different order. Instead of me doing an event by double clicking and doing it, let's write our event first and point to it. Okay? Are you ready for this one? I want to make a new event. Right? When the mouse, Damien, don't worry. When the mouse hovers away from the button, I want another event to be triggered. Okay? So far, I have just the hover event and the click event. I can make as many events as I want on the button. Okay? Each event is an interaction. I'm interacting with a user interface item. Okay? Let's make another event first and then point to it. Let's do it the other way around. Okay, ready? Here we'll do another event.
Did we already select it in the form?
Nope.
We're doing this part first.
Yes, we'll do this part first. We'll call it mouse out. Okay? Mouse out, let's call it mouse out, like this. Okay?
That's the opposite of up. It's just when it moves.
So when I move away, what I wanted to do is this. Here's what I want the behavior to be. When I take my mouse off of the button, when I'm hovering away from the button, I want the event to trigger. Right? That's what I wanted to do. Okay? And just to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this code here. And I want to put this here. And I want to say that this will be mouse out. And same thing with my debug. Mouse out. Okay? Now my event, this event that I made, I haven't connected it in any way. Let's connect it. Well, we've done it. Now we're going the other way around. First we make our method, and now I'm going to connect to it. Here's how we can do that. I'm going to go to my start form, and I'm in here. I'm going to look for mouse out. Right? So it's actually called mouse leave. Doesn't matter, right? Mouse leave. And this time I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to pull down any of the events that come up here. Notice that it doesn't come up. This is because, my friends, it's because I've buggered up my code. All right? But I can type it in too, right? If I type in click me button underscore mouse out and press enter, right? It actually connects me to this thing. And one thing to check is your form designer always. Always check your form designer to make sure that it's doing the right thing. It should be pointing to the right thing. Here's mouse out. Okay? So I can type it in like I did. I can type it in. I just typed it in. I went to mouse leave and I typed in mouse out. I can call this whatever I want. I can call it Tom. All right? As long as the signature of the method matches sender and event args, we're good. I can call it whatever I want, okay? So now let's try it out. Ready? If I hover over, right, I get a hovered. If I hover away, I get mouse out. Take a look. So I go in and out, in and out, in and out. And I can do this all day long. And if I click onto it, I can get this event. So hover out, hover in, look. Right? See that? How did I do that? Again, let me show you that start form. It looks like this. Okay? I called it mouse out, but I can call it whatever I want. Right? Should be actually called mouse leave, but that's fine. So event handling, right? It is a way of us interacting with user interface controls. That's what we're doing. And we can create event handler methods. That's what they are. And the event handler methods, can do whatever we want them to do. Here's something else we can do. I can always call a method from a method, right? I can do that too. What if I had a method that did all this other stuff? Let's say, for example, it does two things. Notice that the message is the same for these two methods, and it's using the same greetings label, right? So what if I made another method? Let's make this another method. This is not an event handler. Another method, completely not related. And in that method, I'm going to say that it returns void, right? It returns void, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this, set greetings label. Set greetings label, and we're going to set it with the string, which is greetings. And what I want to do is take this exact stuff that I have here and put it here, right? Where it's going to say, instead of mouse out, we're going to say it's going to be greetings. Here's the greetings, right? And the same thing goes here. Greetings is going to be in here. Okay? This little method, set greetings label, I want to use it over and over again. Instead of doing this, I can simply do this. Set greetings label and pass in mouse out. And don't worry about it because you're not using it. And then I want to do the same thing with this. Set greetings label and hovered. So what have I done here? I'm reusing my code. There's code duplication you saw, and all I'm doing is I'm reusing my code instead of me duplicating my code. Do you get this? Set greetings label is a function, a method, right? I can document it, // right? Where we say something like, this method sets the greetings label dot text, greetings label dot text property, and uses debug.writeLine to output this message as well. Okay? That's what it does. So a little bit of a summary. So when I do this, if I hover over the set greetings label, let's take a look. Now that I hover over this call, it tells me how I can use this method. Take a look. It tells me what it does. See? It gives me IntelliSense. This is really useful when you're programming with somebody else. If you want someone you're coding with to know what your stuff does, comment your code, right? Because when you comment your code in Visual Studio, then when you hover over, it gives you a tooltip, and the tooltip tells you what the thing does, right? There's more you can do with this in a second, okay? So here, we don't have an event handler, we just have a regular method, and we can call this method within this method. This is just a method call. That's what we're doing here. It's when I get the set greetings label, it jumps to this code right here, does what it tells it to do, and then jumps back. That's what it's doing. Okay? So if I run this code, right, if I click me, it says clicked and hovered. If I hover over or hover out, it still does the same thing. Take a look. I can hover over and hover out a bunch of times, and it's good to go. Okay? Okay. Challenge for you. All right? Are you ready for the challenge? This is a really big one. Okay, I'll come over to you in a second. I think it is. Challenge for you. Ready for the challenge? So far, we've done some silly things to explore. We've explored how forms work, okay? But now I want you to build something, a real thing. Ready? Guys, you ready? I want you to build something now for real. Right, here we go. So back to this. We talked about these events, different kinds of events. I talked about debug write line, helpful stuff. I have it in a helpful stuff section on your PowerPoint, okay? And I also have some other helpful stuff, method level comments, okay? If you look at method level comments here, take a look, right? It has some additional things here. Like for example, inside of the remarks section, you can actually have some code examples, all right? I can add in code. So there's summary, and I can also have remarks. I can also have returns, if it returns anything, right? For example, public int add numbers has two parameters, A and B, and it returns A plus B. What you can do here, it'll give you a little update. Let's take this thing, I'm going to take this whole thing here and copy it from my PowerPoint slide deck and put it inside of my code so you see how this works, right? If I hover over add numbers now, take a look what it gives you. It gives you this. It says adds two numbers and returns the result, right? It says an example is int total is equal to add numbers 5, 3. You can tell your user how to use your methods here, right? And you do that by using remarks. We're using XML, right? And the XML has code. Here's the code, and here's the code that you're showing them, right? This is a great way of documenting your code, my friends. All right, so you can document how your method works right here. Okay? Okay. Like I said, here's the challenge. You do. All right? This is the you do part. We're going to do this for the next 45 minutes, and I'm going to try and help everybody out. I want you to create, I want you, when you get this, I said, if you get this, be careful, right? I want you to create something that looks like this, okay? It's giving you some instructions here on what I want you to do. This is what I want you to create, okay? And what I wanted to do is with this button, it's going to, I've given you some code, and what it's going to do is it's going to generate random numbers in your form. This is your in-class exercise for today, all right? I want you to do it. I want you to follow the stuff in the PowerPoint slide deck. But first, we have to clean up our stuff by removing everything we just did, all right? Without breaking stuff, okay? Here's how we do that. This is very important. Please watch, or you're going to be buggered up the entire time and start over, all right? In the startform.cs, make sure that the click me button is selected, and I want you to go through each of the events and delete them. Like go here and just delete this. Delete the event, okay, from here, in with the lightning bolt here, okay? So make sure you delete it, like literally delete it, okay? Every event that you put in, delete them and press enter, okay? So delete this and press enter. Delete this and press enter. It's important because if you don't do this, it's going to break. Like if I kind of hover over this now, it shouldn't do anything, okay? It shouldn't do anything. Nothing's going to work because I've deleted the events. Now this is very important for you to do. Why? Remember that the start form designer does stuff behind the scenes. And if you have events that it's pointing to that you deleted, right, it'll crap out. It'll be like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Just fix that before you talk.
Yeah. Next, in here, let's get rid of all the code other than the constructor function. So all this stuff here, this is all examples for you, okay? Let's get rid of all of this. So it's going to look like this. Your code now should look like this. Okay? This is important. So we're wiping things out. That's why, Damien, I told you, you're going to be okay. All right? And let's get rid of the, if I look at my outline, my document outline, okay, as an example, let's look at that. I want to get rid of the label. So I want to get rid of this. by deleting it, and I want to delete the button, so I have nothing. So now my form is clear. All right, so when I run my form, it still runs. It looks like this. So everything is cleaned up. I've cleaned up my form. I know, no, it wasn't hard work. It was practice, right? Now what I want you to do is, I want you to make this. Please work on pages 71 through 77 now and for the rest of the day. I'm going to come in around. For the people online who are watching this like on the video, this is the time that is part of your in-class exercise. Your in-class exercise instructions are right here. We've created a repo, right? And it tells you when to make commit messages. Please follow the instructions. Your work today is worth 5 marks. My work today is worth 1 mark, all right? Which means it's 1 to 5. It's all you, baby, right? So make sure you go through from pages 71 to 77 and get her done. I'm going to stop recording now. Oh, one more thing before we go, for the people who are watching. This in-class exercise is due Saturday, okay? I want to mention this why. Here's the reason why it's due Saturday. Tonight is Halloween.
Thank you.
It's the busiest goddamn, driving day of the year, Halloween, all right? And we have a Blue Jays game on tonight, which is insane, okay? So there's just no way that I can give you something tonight to do because guess what? I'm not doing anything but watching a Blue Jays game and giving out candy, and it's not fair for you guys because, I mean, it's going to be the same for some of you. Maybe you're going to go out to a party or do something or whatever, or watch the Blue Jays game, or both, whatever. So this thing is due tomorrow night at midnight, okay? All right, I'll stop recording now, and I'll go around and help everybody with this stuff. I'll start with you, Damien.